Welcome to another week of the Core 4 Show. I'm your host, Coach Brandon Adams. I'm here in sunny Washington, D.C., Maryland area, and learning how to make money on our own, learning how to create wealth without actually giving our hard earned capital to others. And if we fall on our own sword, so be it. We know that there is no guarantees in life. We know that there's no guarantees when it comes to investing and working with projects or programs where we even keep self custody, that is going to be guaranteed that we are going to make a significant amount of money. But that's more important, to make sure that you've got the right education, the right opportunity, and the right situation for you and your family, where you're strategizing in a way that actually makes sense, that's not convoluted, which is why we have the core four coefficient, the core four quadrants. We have different ways of helping you to understand how to invest your money when you're looking for an ROI, or how to invest your money, period, even if you do give your money to someone else, to make sure that you did your checks and balances if you're looking for something that's a little different, that's a little bit more opportunistic. And so core four represents four things: mindset, trying to work at eliminating your 9 to 5, which is a mindset in and of itself, based on your education and your ability to actually learn some small skill sets that might actually give long-term benefits. And then investments is number 3. So you're going to make an investment in something that is typically active, where you're in control over the investment, you're monitoring it. And then finally, you're going to have retirement. What happens in 10, 15, 20 years? Are you allocating enough of your disposable income to be able to create an opportunity for your future where you're not working or worried the same way? And so that's what we're fighting for. That's what our movement is all about. And that's why you're here watching the Core 4 Show. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. We have a fabulous group of coaches and mentors that are out here that are ready to help you to enlighten yourself, to make a big difference in your life, because you're now in control over your education and your opportunities, no matter how good, bad, or ugly it is. And so that's just a better way. And so we have some fantastic results to be able to share with you. And as you dive further in, you'll realize that our community is built around trust. Our community is built around integrity and moving all of us forward, as opposed to just one person getting forward. So without further ado, as we always do, we have our core forecast, which is basically helping you to understand a little bit about the marketplace. And we have 2 senior experts that are killing the game individually, and they also have businesses that are killing the game. And they're here to share with us what the economic outlook looks like for this week coming up and beyond. So welcome to the stage, Chris Pulver. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Brandon. Thanks for having me. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. How's your arm doing?
We're going into 9 weeks, and I'm taking some serious requests for physical therapy this week because it's not better. I went to try to play some golf this week.
Uh,
It's not great. So it needs to be whatever, dude. It's a work in progress. So
well,
I'm hoping it can be 100%, but if not, looks like I got a bowed arm. Thanks,
are you,
basketball.
yeah, thank you, basketball. You don't talk about basketball.
hmm
Well, you're over 25, so these things happen,
No,
and
no, no, no. I don't accept that.
you don't accept it. Okay, well, let's get back to work. I'll see you in the gym in the morning. All right, well, hold on. Let you jump on the stage and talk about this economic calendar, because I think it's super exciting. So
Okay.
jump on, have some fun, man, and I'll see you in a second.
All right. Sounds great. All right. Last week was pretty interesting. You can see the chart here. This is the SPY, the ETF that follows the S&P 500. Some of the technical levels that I've been watching are starting to show signs of rolling over. So we had 3 weeks of really strong support, a couple weeks prior to that with a major indecision. Last week's sell-off came to us with a combination of things. Number one, technically it's overdue. Number two, we have inflation data that printed much higher. I'm sure James will talk about that in his segment. And number three, we have, higher geopolitical tensions and escalations that are continuing to happen, and stuff happened this weekend as well with Iran and Israel. So, like I said, just sticking to the charts here. The S&P looking to roll over. I still like the idea of looking for technical support, buying the dip, but where that is might be somewhere around the levels of 498, possibly retesting the all-time highs back in 2022 around this 480 level. Now, that is a pretty healthy cleanse. If we get that type of correction, that's going to be high single digits. So far, with last week's close, the markets have corrected around 2.8%, which to date, since the bottom that we had here in October, is the deepest correction that we have seen. So certainly more, red to the downside. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see price cooperate with that. So just taking this to a daily time frame, I am playing several things. Where last week, I mean, I was out of town last week, but I still was 5 for 5 in trades on the SPX. And I've got some good trades running this next week on the SPX as well as the DIA, the SPY, and the QQQ. So as long as price stays pressured to the downside, we still have this NVIDIA gap. We still have these all-time levels. The previous all-time highs, which was past resistance, could offer support. So right now, because the market is showing signs of turning lower, I'm not looking to fight that momentum, and we are going to be looking for continued pressure to the downside. So there's your SPY. My floor has been broken. That all was set up last week. So if you're in the sessions with us for core for last week, I said that big sell-off on Thursday, which would have been the 4th of April, really put in the floor that you can see price responded to for several days. Then all of a sudden last week on Friday did end up breaking. So that's the SPY. The DIA, same type of thing. My floor has been broken. This has been a couple days last week below this level. And then we look at the NASDAQ. You go to the QQQ. This one is really interesting because major tech, so Apple and Tesla, responded pretty well. Google's being resilient. You can see the heat map from last week. Apple up on the week. If we go 1 week performance, Apple up on the week. Google up on the week, Tesla up on the week, Nvidia steady for the week. Now everything else is pretty crappy, right? Everything else, see a lot of red on this map. I'd say about 65-70% of the map is red, but major market cap companies were still holding green. So Apple made a pretty nice comeback off that 170 floor. We had a big rip here from about 167 all the way up here. The news on Apple: you've got iPhone shipments plunge, and yet stock price goes up. Why is that? Well, we came into major support from the correction in October, and I just think Apple is a play that if we have sideways movement, this is a good technical level to see some buyers come back in. Um, you know, Positive earnings, good trajectory back to the upside, broader market rallies or retesting highs. If we, have like a 3-5% correction from the all-time highs, Apple likely coming back up to retest those, 195 to 199 areas. So anyway, I think Apple has a lot of interest since it is down double digits. So if we go to the all-time highs here, Apple's been on a nice little discount around 16%. So you've got some value plays there with large cap tech. And again, SPY breaking the floor, DIA breaking the floor, Qs proving to be the most resilient at this time. But one more thing with my segment today: inflation expectations have shifted quite a bit. The June rate cut was expected for the Fed. I just want to show you how this has shifted. Right now, you can see that the market for May 1st, which is only a couple weeks away, the market's actually considering that the Fed make a hike. Now, again, 5.9% doesn't think it. I don't think that the Fed's going to hike. I just think it's interesting that's popping back up on the potential probability. And then we have June, which is the highest expectation to be a cut just a couple of months ago. And here we are looking at a 63.5% probability that the Fed is nothing. So the cut cycle for the Fed is being pushed later. And here we are in July. You have a higher probability that July will be the first cut. But this is interesting. Look at September. September, we're sitting here actually with the higher probability higher than current. Right now, the Fed rate is 5.25 to 5.5. This is a 41% probability that will go 5.5 to 5.75, which again, subject to change, but this is showing us that the market may expect to see a hike before we start to see cuts during the election. So all sorts of drama out there, geopolitical tensions and escalations. I'll let James take it over and start talking about that. But what I'm looking to do is not fight the downside right now. I think the market's going to make a nice little cleanse. I'm looking to stay with that with some of my option plays. Like I said, limited trading last week, but I was 5 for 5 on wins. Looking to do the same thing this week and just continue to plug away for Streamwise Capital.
I love it. Can you do me a favor and go back to the Apple?
Sure. There's Apple.
So when you look at that before it actually spikes and goes up, there was news, and the news said that the iPhone plunged and it
Yep.
wasn't in sales, right? Or the ship
Correct.
plunged 10%. So most investors, I would think, would say, "Oh, it's about to take a big nosedive down to those lows, down to 130 or whatever else."
Mhm.
Do you wait for that? Do you wait for it to break that level first, or did you? I mean, where is the prediction? Where would you have looked at this and said, "Okay, now I have this news, and that determines direction." Where does that happen? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, the news to me doesn't determine direction. To me, the direction is determined on the charts, and then the news happens to fall in line. So I was already long on Apple at 165 by 155, and so I am in now. And the expiration is this Friday. So for me, as long as Apple stays above 165, I get full profit on my positions. So I was looking at this when this market was retesting highs. I was looking at where would I like to own Apple. 165, which is exactly where these lows are at. So I was already positioned for if price comes to a more attractive level, I'm going to get long. And so you can see that price is responding to a nice favorable support level. So
Right.
I mean, is there pressure? Yeah, there's pressure. But do I think we're coming back to the major corrections of 2022? Probably not. I think that if anything, we have Apple, largest company in the world, you know, I know that they've had some issues with shipments going down, China playing harder competition, and therefore, yeah, I mean, yeah, Apple might struggle in the near term as far as growth, but their margins are solid. They have tons of cash. I would take Apple bonds over a government treasury any day if I were to invest long term. So that being said, I mean, we're at a 16-17% discount on Apple. I'll take my chances. And again, playing options, I don't have to own stock here. I could just have some exposure if it doesn't work. Where else would I load in? Probably here, and just take my big discount levels on Apple to get long.
I love it.
Yep.
Thank you. For those that understood that like I did, I mean, this is amazing. Great job, dude. I'll talk to
Thanks.
you in a second.
All right.
James, I love it. That was a personal chit chat that I had with Chris, but I hope that people really take advantage of the knowledge that you guys have. You guys are such subject matter experts, and so I just appreciate you guys. So, James, you're up, baby.
Awesome. Thank you. So, I absolutely love what Chris does. Chris and I have worked together for a long, 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 long time, and I think he's an absolute brilliant trader. Not too shabby myself, I'll say that too. But also, I think we have, I'm very much have become a fundamentalist and an economist through my education and through this doctorate program. Something interesting about Apple, just to tap into that really quickly, because I was going to talk about that with that spike on Thursday, April 11th. They announced they needed, in my opinion, they needed some positive news with the lawsuit happening, with the government breathing down their neck about this monopoly talk or whatever, which they had to approve all of their purchases, which makes no sense. But now they're a monopoly. Go figure. But anyway, they are revamping their lineup and using AI focused chips for all of their computers. So, I think the iPhone 15, I think it was more of a known that not a lot of people would be involved getting that and upgrading to that because it wasn't enough change between the 14 and 15. But I look for a major change in this next iteration coming out in September. But back to the news, we have Tesla is preparing for a round of layoffs. According to, I believe it is Reuters who reported this evening. It literally came out 8:07 p.m. So that is they're looking at a potentially up to 20% of their Gigafactory employees, and Cybertruck productions is going to be shortened. So Cybertruck, the experiment gone wrong, in my opinion. I think the world just is not ready for that Terminator-looking truck. The other thing that happened last week is we saw CPI higher than expected, and that came in at 4.8%. It was one of the faster pace back-to-back months. We saw even core was higher. Every measure of CPI was higher. Now, CPI is Consumer Price Index, and that's a measure of inflation. Now, what is a point that I want to make sure I say that everybody hears? So if you got 2 ears or one, doesn't matter. Just lean on into that computer real quick, because I need to make sure that you understand that the Federal Reserve, the people that set the interest rates, the people that drive the car we're on and we're trading, they use what's called the core PCE deflator number. 3 voting members of the Federal Reserve came out and had speeches and interviews that all talked about this and said, while we see the CPI number has increased, the bigger number that we are paying attention to, again, is the PCE number. And so that comes out at the end of every single month. Upcoming this week, as far as announcements are concerned, is we have retail sales coming out on Monday at 8:30 in the morning. Then on, I'm going to go U.S. specific here. We have Jerome Powell speaking Tuesday. And then we have U.S. unemployment claims coming out this Thursday. And then it kind of just fizzles on into the later part of the week. And the last major thing that I must talk about, and again, let me just tell you guys something. I treat politics like I play golf. I think if you go too far on the right, you're in the crap. If you go too far on the left, you're in the crap. So let's keep it right down the middle. So everybody just keep it down the middle with me here today. But we did have Iran launched over 300 missiles and drones in Israel, most of which were intercepted and by Israeli missile defense systems. However, this launches a big question mark, okay? A very big question mark. Because with unrest in the Middle East, we could see oil prices rise 100 plus. Okay, we were already teetering in the 80s. And so we may add another $20, $30, $40 to that because supply chains will be disrupted and production will be disrupted. We also may see if the U.S. gets involved to back Israel, what does that do? What does a war economy typically do? Typically, think about generally a slowdown in the equity markets as, you know, uncertainty. No one likes uncertainty. No money likes uncertainty. So we may see a little bit of dip in the market, but then as the picture becomes clearer, we then see the market ramp back up. So guys, I'll be reporting on this literally every week, every single week that I can, as long as we're in it, not in it, what I hear, what I don't know, and all the information that I get. So I will also say, as a point of note, while I'm looking at the futures that are open now for going into Monday, we're looking at a slight, the ever so tiniest slight increase right now in E-mini S&P, E-mini NASDAQ, and E-mini Dow. We're talking under 0.25% increase. So we may see this turn over as more people jump into the market. So sentiment is changing and we may see a little bit of a pullback, which I think mostly is due. It's never a bad thing. So Bitcoin futures also were down 5.3% overnight. So let's see what continues to transpire with Bitcoin and the crypto market as well. So that's it for me. I, definitely appreciate the time, Brandon.
No, we appreciate you more. So I'm just going to jump back in because I know you brought up Apple and you started talking about the iPhone 16. And so are you suggesting that investors know what you just knew and said, oh, great, this is, the bad news is here. So let me start getting those positions to get ready for September. Because
so when I look at iPhone sales, it was kind of a known thing that, hey, look, they didn't do much to upgrade the 14 to 15. So there wasn't a real need. There hasn't been a generational jump in iPhones in the last 3 to 5 generations, depending on how you look at it. And so they were expecting more from the 15. They didn't get it, but that's mainly due to the underdevelopment of, chips, just like everybody else. So this 16 and 17, I think we will see big jumps, and that's what kind of prepares. The other thing about Apple that is kind of non-news to everybody else, but I've been reading about it like it's unbelievable. The federal government jumped in and said, Apple, you've been buying up all these small technology companies, and now you're a monopoly. But what they fail to tell you is that every acquisition that Apple makes also has to pass a round of government approval because they're a publicly traded company and SEC approval at minimum. So all of these are known what they purchase. So it's kind of like what they did to Facebook and with Instagram a few months ago. I think this is just governmental posturing because they need something to talk about, some to show that we need to do something in this tech industry. But I think Apple is not going anywhere. It's a stalwart of our economy. They are a developer that has their hands in so much. And like Chris said, just to give you guys a perspective on how much cash Apple has on hand, they have more cash in the bank than both Canada and Great Britain combined. The AirPods, right? Just AirPods and Beats alone, if they were their own company, it would be the third largest company in the United States right now. The third largest tech company in the United States. So there you go. That's what Apple is, right?
Hey, man. Look, listen, thank you. That's all we could say. Thank you. All right, guys, listen, that was a great core forecast. I'm sorry that I jumped into so much about Apple, but you guys got to hear it. You guys got to learn it. You're going to be able to invest on your own. And so you're getting some fantastic information. It's not financial advice. These guys are not your financial advisors. I'm not your financial advisors. None of us are. This is your money. Go to E-Trade. Get your account set up with E-Trade. Listen, our goal is to tell you where I am, where we are, and tell you where we would like to be, and then give you our track record and tell you how well we're doing getting there. And so with that being said, we go into the Core 4 report. And this is a very interesting report because there are no guarantees. We're doing great with the Forex, with Ghost Protocol. You guys that are all in it already know. And so now we have binary options, and we also have yield farming, which are both great, which carry some risk. And this week in binary options, for the first time, we actually found out that we weren't superhuman. And so there were some losses that happened this week. And I love being accountable. I could not wait for this call so that we can actually talk about that and accept the responsibility of saying, look, we have some great metrics. We have great strategies, but nothing in this world is foolproof. And so if you operate that there is no loss situation, that everything is guaranteed, then you're a little naive to what the world is all about, which is why when you are actually doing this yourself, when you actually own your own capital and you're managing your own money, then you can see why things are happening. You can make adjustments and you can grow. And so we're going to bring on Coach India right now. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
So,
Go ahead.
So I just want to introduce you. I open up the show and I'm excited to have you on because now we realize that there's some kryptonite in the armor. And so we're going to fix that and take the floor. I'm going to jump off and let you go.
Okay, awesome. And I'm sharing my screen as well, Brandon, so you can allow me to share my screen. Thank you. All right, so good evening, everybody. So this week wasn't the most profitable week. Out of the past 16 days, I've had like 14 out of 16 winning days. And so the past 2 days weren't as profitable, but I am actually excited about what's to come next week. So this week we finished with about a 44% winning percentage, lost about 28%. So the winning rate was about 17 out of 38. Okay. And so prior to that, like I was mentioning, the week before we had 8 out of 9. And the week before that, it was like 34%. So this is a part of the process. You're going to have some winning days and some losing days. But the most important thing is that there's transparency and that you all can see the process for yourself. And so that's what I'm most excited about, as Brandon mentioned earlier, is that you're going to have your winning days and you're going to have your losing days. And we learn from both. So I'm excited about moving forward to the next week, making adjustments and having a successful week. So thanks again, Brandon. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. And it's important because at the end of the day, we want to win more than we lose.
Absolutely.
And therefore, for obviously we believe in self-custody, but
Mhm.
we also have to recognize that the market is shifting and the market is moving, and we have to adjust with it. And
Mhm.
so expertise like yourself,
Mhm.
you're going to make the adjustments, and it's going to be awesome. So
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So what's next is yield farming. And after we talk about yield farming, we're going to go a little deeper. And the way that I want to structure this is for you guys to start thinking about how you want your lives to be. So when you talk about investments, investments is a little different. Like I think India last week said to me, so what do you think about what do you like about, binary options, or however it was phrased? We can go back and take a look at it. But one of the things I said to me, and I say it to all of our students, it's gambling with a incredible strategy. And so when you have a strategy and you know that the strategy has a historical value of working, then you're basically beating the house. And when it comes to the house, that's where we put our money. That's the broker that we put. We don't have any control over that. Somebody said, "Oh, well, the broker is important." Absolutely, the broker is important in any situation. You have to be able to trust the broker that you have. And when you're not in control over the broker the way that we are not, then it levels the playing field for the whole world, as long as we know that they're a reputable broker. And so, as we dive deeper into why because I want to challenge you to think about where you want to be, we now jump over to yield farming. And yield farming had some incredible gains for us. One of my buddies had over, I think it was 115% in 1 month. That's great. And it's possible, but you have to dive deeper into your education. Nobody's going to do that for you. We have study groups, we have all sorts of things. Eric is fantastic at building, and he's looking for new and exciting ways to help us to be even more laser focused with our picks, with our ranges, and everything else, and the rebalancing. So I hope I said that right, Eric. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing okay. I was really enjoying a conversation a minute ago when we were talking about the fact that Apple has more capital than the government of Canada
And I,
and the UK. I don't usually take a lot of time out to talk about fundamentals, but I want to talk about it today. But just that concept that they have more money than those governments, it kind of reminds me of a movie back in the 70s. It was really great. It was called Rollerball. I don't know if you remember that movie,
remember that.
but and in that movie, the governments were basically big corporations, and they were just saying like, okay, here's the U.S. corporation. I think we're pretty much there at this point. They run everything anyway, but anyway, talking about yield farming, like I said, I don't usually talk about much of fundamentals or anything because honestly, it's as simple as, and I just want to share my screen if I can here. Present, share screen. Take a second here. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we got you.
Okay. What I wanted to share with you is that a lot of people ask me, "Hey, what's the downside of this trading yield farming? What could go wrong?" Because most people cannot believe that we're just sitting here making money all the time. Okay, so uh,
Oh,
uh,
we're losing you, buddy.
uh, um, one of my friends who doesn't because of the drop in the price of Bitcoin because of the attack in Israel. There was some jiggling of the chart, and I said, "What are you talking about? I mean, it hardly dropped at all. It was at a high of 71 to 69." So well, I hear people are jumping out of windows. So the funny thing about that, I mean, that's not funny if people jumping out of windows, but I'm sitting here and I don't care if this thing drops down to 50 or 40 on Bitcoin. When I bothered to check after he just checked with me today, I'm in this pair here of Ethereum versus Bitcoin, and I just had the wrong chart up here, but I'll show you where I record these things because of all the volume of trading that people were simply buying and selling to deal with the situation that came up in Israel. And just from all that buying and selling, I mean, just since we've been on the call here, I reset my my pool, I withdrew my unclaimed fees, and just since the time that we have been on this call, I made $20 off of the Ethereum pool over here. So I was making a ton of money because there was simply so many, and they still are. People are out there just trading and trading and trading. I don't really care whether Ethereum is going up or down. I mean, if it's going up, that's great. I'm just making a little more money, but I'm still making yield. Now, another fundamental issue that arose is, and we have discussed this on last week's call, that there was a problem with Solana. The Solana blockchain. It was slowing down. Students are seeing problems with just getting in and out of the exchange like we normally do right around the first week of April. And as a result of that and other factors, the price of Solana went down. It went down from about 200 here all the way down to as low as 143. And so while most people are pulling their hair out of their head, by the way, they did go ahead and release a patch to Solana just yesterday. But so the network is just back up and it's fine. It never really went down. It just was painfully slow to go in and out of pools. But I noticed they've been making some patches all week. But my point here is that even though Solana went down as it is, and it's all coming back up now again, that the patches have just been released in the last day or two. Even during that time, I just let the positions ride that I was holding, and just over the weekend, on an $8,000 position, I made $500. Okay, so I just sit, and when I say I made 500, I did nothing. I entered this position on Friday, sometime in the afternoon, and this Jupiter Sol one here, I actually got out of my other positions because they were out of range, and I just didn't have time to go back in. I got out of my Python range that I was in Python network. I just didn't have time. I didn't have time to go back in and put a new position in there. So I made literally $469 since Friday, even though Solana's going down. And if you look right here, even this pool, there's so much trading going on there. I'm expected to make 43% on this. This number varies. I don't want to give the wrong impression, but hey, it's been cranking away. So much volume in there. So I just wanted to share with you guys the great news that even when the perception is that the markets are going down in crypto, and even though the reality is, I don't sit around and look at these fundamentals, and I don't make speeches about where I think
Eric, your audio is super choppy.
prices from crypto is just that the go ahead.
Your audio is super choppy. It's been fading in and out of bad radio.
Oh,
so
all right. Is that any better there?
I mean, we can hear you. We had to wait till you really got back in.
Okay.
But go ahead. Let's see if you can finish up.
I'll try to finish up here with one other piece of fundamental news here, that the SEC sends Uniswap a Wells notice, which usually means they're getting ready to do a lawsuit when they send a Wells notice. I don't think they have the guts to sue them, but if they do, two things to be aware of is that Uniswap exchange is not controlled in the United States. They're just suing the founders of it. So that's going to go nowhere. The second thing is, whenever the SEC takes umbrage against any kind of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, it's time to buy, because historically every time they try to take action, it backfires in their face, and the crypto just goes up. So I will share that little bit of fundamentals with you there. So that's all I have to say tonight.
Well, that's some great stuff, buddy. I mean, listen, the bottom line is, Eric, thank you for being part of the family, and we're winning because of you. So thank you, guys. I'm just going to say it like this: we have a great team, and if you're taking advantage of it, then obviously you're seeing the results. If you're not taking advantage of it, then watch, because you want to look at the whole body of work that we have going on. And if you don't even understand it from what we're talking about here on the show, just call us. Just call Coach. Just say, Coach Brandon, I'd love to talk to so-and-so. And we'll try to work that out so you can get some more insight, or my staff will help you. The goal is for you to win. And so in order for you to win, it doesn't mean somebody else has to lose. And in order for someone else to win, it doesn't mean you have to lose. We are all able to win. And the way we do that is by educating ourselves, noticing the consistency. Look, since we started the Core 4 show, Chris, James, India, you guys don't see Sonia a lot, but Sonia's on the show every week behind the scenes. Eric is now on the show. We had Leonardo at first. He had actually technical difficulties, but Leonardo and I talk every week. So we have a great team of people. India, I mean, it's incredible. So all I'm suggesting to you guys is that as you're starting to strategize for the next quarter of this year or whatever else, what disposable money are you going to try to grow your capital with and really, really expand your opportunities? And so that's where this show has taken us. And so for our last few minutes, we're going to talk a little bit about getting from where you are to where you want to be. And how do you recognize? How do you do a self-reflection? As a coach, I tell my students today, I'll just tell you about this weekend. We took a huge loss yesterday. We lost by 50 points yesterday. It was incredible. And I loved every minute of it because now the kids that I'm working with can recognize that there are other kids that are more skillful and they know more about basketball than they do. So the little bit of time that I have with them helps me to understand that hopefully they will then recognize that they need to spend more time on their own and then be ready to ask questions. Because I can be a subject matter expert on the sport all I want, but I'm not the one that's out on the court. And then when I'm asking them to do things on how to get by people or how to draw double teams and triple teams to create opportunities for others, guess what? They don't have the skill set to do it. And so I'm a pattern recognition theory coach and trainer and educator. And that's in everything that I do, Core 4 as well. So what I tell everybody, I'm telling you guys this now, that there are pattern windows that open up that provide you with opportunities to be financially successful. There are pattern windows that open up in everything that you do to be successful. There are pattern windows that open up in basketball. And so, or any sport. So when the pattern window opens up, you have to have a skill set with the highest probability of success to enter that window. If you enter the window with the skill that doesn't work, the ball is going to be stolen, or you're just going to turn it over, or you're not going to make the shot, you're not going to be successful, and you're going to create congestion and confusion. So you have to understand the right skill when the pattern presents itself that has the highest probability of success. Then you have a chance at being at least okay as a player. But then if you want to be good, then what do you have to do? You have to say, okay, let me see multiple patterns so that I can read many different patterns that are out on the court. And when I recognize these opportunities, I need to put the effort and the skill with the highest probability of success. So I added effort. And now if you have the effort and you have the skill set, then you have a chance to be great. And the pattern window opens, you enter the skill before the pattern window closes. The greatest players in the world anticipate the window and they're applying the skill when the window instantaneously opens, the skill is coming through. Jordan, Kobe, Magic Johnson, Kyrie, Steph Curry. They do it night in and night out. Think about that. So when it comes to your lives, what pattern window is opening for you in your financial future, and what skill are you bringing to it so that the window doesn't close before you actually put the time and the effort in with that skill for the highest probability of success? So we're giving you that highest probability of success with the Forex. We're giving you that highest probability of success with binary options. We're giving you that highest probability of success with yield farming. But guess what? To get to where you want to be, if you want to be the Steph Curry or the Kobe's or the Jordans or any of these other spectacular players, you have to apply what's up here. And that information that's applied becomes knowledge. That knowledge becomes that highest probability of success. That highest probability of success, then you can instantaneously enter that window when it's opening. That's where you become spectacular. And that's why I loved hearing what Chris had to say today and James, and then also following it up with India and also with Eric. Because even with what Eric is saying with the fundamentals and how he was positioning the money and made $500 over the weekend, we could have all done that. But the way that he applies the skill, recognizing where Bitcoin is and some of the other things to say, now that I see these fundamentals are happening, I know there's going to be activity. That activity means what? That means now there's fees being generated. So let me get out there and let me just cast my net and let me catch these fees. Very powerful tool. So when you're thinking about where you are, be honest with yourself. Are you making enough money? If you're not, great. Then this might be your way of getting rid of your 9 to 5. If you are making enough money and you want to then start making more money with what we're doing with Core 4, whatever else, then you look at it from an investment perspective. If you've got enough money, you've got some great investments, but you know what? You'd like for your retirement to look different. Let's put some disposable income to work that you're in control over. That's what makes the big difference. That's what changes the good to great and the great to spectacular. But you've got to step through that window when it opens. And I'm trying to learn every single week. I'm doing something to get a little bit more knowledge. And so with subject matter experts that we have on our panel, we have no choice. We have no excuse. We will win and we will be successful. And so when I take a look at my students, I'm giving them assignments so that we can communicate better, so that they have the skill set. So when this situation happens again, I can't look at them and say, you don't know enough. That's why we can't be more successful. That's why you can't experience the win, because you don't know enough yet. And when you're learning it, you're having to learn it so that you get the physical repetitions in, so it becomes a part of your muscle memory. Your brain is doing the same thing. You want to be able to hear something that's going on in the world or looking for something that's going on in the world and be able to respond because you've seen it time and time again. That's the pattern window. What are you going to do the next time that pattern window opens up? And so I challenge all of you. We have our event that's coming up in June. You can contact us through the week. You have an incredible panel of people that are here to support you and help, even if they're not getting paid for it. Take advantage, because we want to build a community that lasts. And the only way that we can do that is by being transparent, being honest, helping you to keep self-custody of your funds so we're all staying in the game. So I want to tell you guys all, the goal for all of us is to get from where we are to where we want to be. I'll tell you privately what my goals are for myself and also for my family. If you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food and shelter, then security, then socialization, then self-esteem, then self-actualization. Yes, I want to self-actualize. Core 4 is putting me on that path to do it. And a lot of other people are joining the fray. Are you going to join the fray? In addition to that, remember what I always teach all of my kids, all of my student athletes, all of my pros. Become a subject matter expert. Period. What do you have to lose? It's just going to take some time. You don't trust yourself? You don't believe in yourself? That's all right. Well, we got a team of people to support you, a community to support you. Become the best version of yourself, physically, mentally. Challenge yourself to be better tomorrow than you were today. Period. And then finally, surround yourself with people who inspire you. I can't wait to talk to this team that I'm a part of. What team are you a part of? Obviously, you're here watching Core 4. Great. But what about, let's join some other teams. Let's identify some other people and make sure that we're building our community right and it has some depth. You do that, you have a chance. I have an incredible, on the basketball side, on the Core 4 side, I am blessed. But I'm only blessed because I'm still following, become a subject matter expert. Be the best version of yourself. and surround yourself with people who inspire you. I want to be inspiring so that people want to be around me. Do the same, and your community will grow. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for being here. I love you whether you like it or not. This is Coach Brandon. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for your time.